go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Journey into Comics with your hosts, Nate Phillips and Brandon Stone.
I am a god, you dull creature.
Man, is it weird that I'm just like totally in love with our intro?
I love the fact that we even have an intro. I think it adds a little pizzazz to the intro. Makes it get all hyped up to record an episode.
I like that you said pizzazz. That's a cool word.
Pizzazz.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know how I roll.
No, yeah, I know how you roll, but man, it's just I don't know. It's special to me because it's our song. I mean, not like we have a love song. We wrote that together. So
We totally have a love song.
do we?
Yeah, of course we do.
Why
That is our love song. Or you could pick any one of our other, sappy ballads from back in the band days.
Ooh, you haven't even heard the stripped down. I did a Rick Rubin version of "Lost in Seclusion." I'll have to link you to sometime. I don't have it up anywhere, but it's piano and vocals only until when the solo starts, and when the solo starts, the drums kick in at the same time.
That's sweet. I'll have to hear that.
It's pretty epic sounding. Dad was like, "Really? You made me record that song on drums to cut 90% of it? Just use me at the end?" I was like, "Oh, sorry. I was just being Rick Rubin."
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. So, welcome to Journey into Comics, everybody. We didn't really officially say hello, so hello. Yeah, I'm all over the place in my head. Wednesday was a really shitty day. I got off work at 8. I'm all excited. It's my late night at work now, but it's still early in the evening, and I'm feeling very spry. And I drive home, and my drive is only like a 14-and-a-half-minute drive, even with a little bit of congested traffic. The job is not too far from where we live. So there's a construction right now across the main road to our house. We got to take this little jaunted detour and take a little back road that's only like a mile long, and that goes right back to the main road, which goes right back to our house. So I take the back way to our house, and I get to Grand, and when I go to cross the train tracks, the things come down, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the train starts to go, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then it starts to slow down, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm literally, at this point, I am literally across the train tracks, an immediately turn right, and do that one more time, an immediate turn right, and I'm at my house. Like 50 seconds from the house. So I'm like, okay. So I go to take an alternate route. Fucking train is there as well. and it's stopping, and I'm like, oh, come on. So I thought I saw the crossing guards go back up. And I was like, yes, they're up. I can go back to Grand. I'll cross the train tracks. I'll be home. Problem solved. Only takes me an additional 5 minutes. So I go back to Grand. The train looks like it's picking up speed. So I'm like, oh, yeah, it's almost at the end. I sit there for 5 more minutes, and it officially stops. And the whole time I'm on the phone with Dad, and I'm really just doing a great job of keeping my composure until this point when I definitely spun the tires and turned around again, drove all the way back a mile and a half to the main road, back across to the alternate that we hate to take because it kind of takes us within a couple inches of Gary, Indiana, which sucks, and then back around. It took me 52 minutes to get home on Wednesday.
Oh, man.
I was pissed.
I mean, that's got to be really irritating, especially when the thing you want to do is just go home and chill, and it's like life isn't letting you.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like, and here's the crazy part. It's not out of my way to take the second alternate route to go home. It's actually just taking 80-94, one exit down, and then coming back up, which is like an additional 3 minutes. I said to myself, I'm like, man, I should just take the detour today so I don't even have to mess with the train. And then I second-guessed myself, and I went, nah, it won't be there. I was wrong.
Surprise.
Yeah, that's what it was too. It was like hanging out with a hot chick, and then out of nowhere she just slaps you across your face, and you're just like, what was that for? There was no reason. Seriously, stop it. So that was probably the only bad thing that happened to me this week. And Brandon, as you know, and as I feel very honored to say this, pretty cool week for us here at Journey into Comics, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's been very exciting. I mean, it all started with, we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on air last time, but we wanted to create a Facebook page to kind of link in with our audience and get people out there the information when a new episode's up, invite them to come in and join the conversation with us, on Facebook. And then from there, it just escalated. Within like 24 hours, we were at 100 likes.
Which was really badass. Actually, I know the listener who was number 100 because they privately messaged me a picture of it saying 99 and then it saying 100. So to my bestie in the Westie, Mr. Wayne Piddington, sir, thank you very much for being our official 100th. It is greatly appreciated, and I cannot say thank you enough.
You get a cookie, man. Thank you so much. Okay, just to go back here for a second about Facebook pages. I've mentioned this on here before. I'm an admin on a kind of a fan page called Extra Life Games. You go check us out if you want to. And it took us forever to get 100 likes and even get 40 more where we are now. And it's not really about for us growing likes, but just to see the escalation of the podcast, where more networking is definitely going to be involved. We want more people to hear it, and it was just so cool to see it grow that fast.
Well, and not only to see it grow that fast, but I also was ecstatic when you told me the other huge news of this week that we're now on iTunes.
We are on iTunes, so anyone listening to this podcast on Podbean, you want to get that cool little podcast on your phone, you can. You can just go to iTunes and subscribe to us. If you're an Android user, you can download the app Podcast Addict and search for the podcast Journey into Comics. Just click on the iTunes search and you can subscribe that way. And this is so cool that we are now available mobile for both major platforms. And that way more people can hear on their way to work, on their way to school, in commute. That's how I love to listen to podcasts. That's how I got kind of hooked on them. And now other people can do that. And it was very easy, very stress-free to get it done. And I'm so glad to be able to bring that content to you in more accessible fashion.
Yeah, and to you listeners out there, seriously, Brandon, if it wasn't for you, a lot of the forward momentum of Journey into Podcast or Journey into Comics, the podcast, the momentum would not have been there. It was just me by myself doing a lot of gabbing, and we've added a cool dimension, and we really I think we do good work here.
Well, the thing is that when you started it, and I listened to it, I listened to podcasts, so I would download yours and give it a listen. And, I wanted to do it, and I've been wanting to do it for a while, as I've said before. And when you gave me the opportunity to do it, I'm in this 100%.
Well, I thank you for being in it 100%. I've been in it 100%, and I know how kind of difficult it was for me to just by myself come in here and talk, but I feel really confident that if me and you have stuff we want to talk about, it's just this is the best dude, my words tonight. It's this whole late night thing. It's a full moon. Words aren't coming out so good, but the best method for this podcast to grow is for us to just, when we feel chatty, to just do it.
Of course. And the whole thing about the full moon, the worst thing that can happen right now is if I look at it, because I'm totally going to transform into a giant monkey, just like Goku. And I can't control myself like Vegeta can, so it's just going to be a lot of raw and then destruction, which would make for a pretty cool end of the podcast. But right now, I'm not going to look at it yet.
Yeah, save that to the end. There's reason to maybe be angry at the end. No, you're not getting kicked off. Don't worry. That's for episode 294, okay?
294. I will remember that because I will work it in because I have more exciting news. It's not actually done yet, but I'm going to do it right when we get off of here. I'm going to order a new microphone, which is not wireless because the one I'm using is a headset with wireless functionality with the USB. And occasionally I can lose connection to it. So if there's ever any time where we have a little bit of a part that seems off, maybe Nate can edit it if he can. If not, we're gonna leave it as it is. I kind of like it that in that aspect. Everything's raw. We're not covering up our mistakes. But I'm getting a brand new microphone, and so hopefully it'll sound way better, almost like I'm right there in the studio with him, and which I hope to be sometime soon anyway. But in this time, I want to sound better, so I'm definitely buying a new microphone.
Well, you're talking about sounding better, and I didn't write this in our notes, but this is something I did want to address. First and foremost, Tim, who I'm sure you'll be listening, you can send me a message on Voxer when you get to this point. My buddy Tim said that, because I gave him the rundown of how we record the whole spiel, exactly our entire setup, because he was interested. And he said we're one of the best sounding podcasts he's heard.
Well, that's cool because it's only going to sound better.
I know that
going forward.
That is exciting. Yeah, sweet. So there's a ton of comic book news, Brando, and I'm gonna kind of educate you.
Well, please
while
do.
I educate the audience. For things that not everybody reads, I am very quirky when it comes to comics. Sometimes a cover can catch my eye, and even if the series is terrible, I will write it down as long as I can, give it as many issues as I can to be good, and then eventually abandon it when they stop making that comic. But hopefully with these, they don't do that. So they 2012 into 13, they started the Marvel Now thing, which was Marvel relaunching all their titles. Spider-Man had hit 700 issues. Fantastic Four, I do believe, came close to 700, if not 700. And then they decided, let's hit the reset button. Let's give everybody a number one issue. Everybody, I don't care what comic series it is, you're all getting number ones. You're starting from scratch. We'll call it a new volume, whatever. So they did that, and then they found that a couple of their series that the writers or whatever, it just wasn't working, and they wanted to give new people a chance. So they did the all new Marvel Now thing, which is what we're currently a part of. And here are just a couple titles that came out during the Marvel thing, and then we're going to get to The Walking Dead, which Brando did read, so stay tuned for possible spoilers, which I don't think there were really anything spoilerific, just some really kick-ass lines that were in the issue. But so to start, I just want to say that I've always been a fan of The Punisher. Brandon, I know you were a fan of The Punisher, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the 2004 Thomas Jane movie, still high up in my list of great movies that are comic book related.
Oh, yeah. I enjoy the character.
Yeah, he's such a badass, and the Punisher video game was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. And unfortunately, I don't have it yet. It is on my to get list, and I definitely want it on the original Xbox. That's the version that I actually played of it way back in the day.
That's the version I played of too, and the version was actually your copy.
It was my copy. I actually owned it.
I think it. Well, was it Jason? Maybe.
It was. I think it was Jason.
It was Jason's.
I didn't own it.
That's right. My brain is too full of stuff. So, anyways, they do have a new Punisher out. That's what I was trying to get to. This is volume 9 of the Punisher, so they've tried to do the Punisher series 9 times now. You know, Punisher made his comic book debut, and his first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man 129. He was out to kill Spider-Man. Interesting story. Great read. You can find it on the internet. If you haven't read it, I do suggest. That's one of the better old school Spidey issues in that era. But so we're at the 9th reincarnation of the Punisher, Frank Castle. I loved with this series right from issue 1, he was battling Electro. It wasn't a normal thug or a mafia member or Crossbones or anything like that. It was a Spidey villain, which I thought was really interesting. They had a really cool story they did with that, which is now moving into a Crossbones story. But I think the art is cool, and I think the writer, who his name is Nate Edmondson, I think he is doing a fantastic job with the series, and I really do hope that this one gets off the ground and stays off the ground. I just don't know how many people beside myself are actually reading that one. And that being said, another series that I don't know how many people are reading, the new Fantastic Four, Volume 5. The thing that caught me about this, now, when Volume 4 came out with the Marvel Now, I did not buy Volume 4. I didn't touch it, not with a 10-foot pole. But the logo for Fantastic Four Volume 5 is single-handedly what sold me. And it's simple. It's just the word fantastic, but the second A of fantastic is the classic four. So I just thought, hey, that's really cool. I'm going to go with it. And it's a cool read. Ha, that's funny because Reed Richards. That's punny. But the story is really cool. The idea that the Fantastic Four are not bad guys, they just have done things that make them out to be bad guys, and now they're all being cast as villains, essentially. They're not. They aren't doing things that are villainous, but they unintentionally let evil alien swarm of monsters into Earth that killed a bunch of people. And even the Avengers almost lost, which I thought was interesting. They got put on trial. They got their kids taken away from him. Human Torch lost his powers. Ben Grimm has turned his back on the group. Like, they are just in turmoil and angst and hate each other. And every issue, there's so much tension. There's just so much tension. You're just like, I feel for these characters. I feel sorry for the characters that are going to attempt to make a new movie of Fantastic Four. And I don't even care if Human Torch is black. I just think the whole thing sounds bad from what I understand. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I haven't heard many updates about the new Fantastic Four film in a while.
They just did the casting, and a lot of people got angry. And I mean, it's petty, it's race, whatever.
That's a stupid thing to get angry about. Get angry if you're gonna get angry about the material that they're turning it into. Don't get angry about a casting decision.
Yeah, and I think some people's big complaint, well, Susan and Johnny are brother and sister, and they aren't gonna look alike. And I think that's like tripping people up. But I think it's a great move on Fox's part to just kind of, as we were talking off air about the good and bad things in superhero lore that get changed for movies that we may do an episode on, which I really hope we do. This is one of those things where race should not matter. That is not the important part. The important part is going to be whether they can deliver as a believable Fantastic Four and if the script is actually proper.
Yeah, I get purists want to keep the characters the same. They want to keep the core characters as they are, as they were. And I get that. But there's nothing wrong with exploring a new realm with it, because the Fantastic Four as a film has already been done.
And done poorly. I mean, I give them credit for trying, because they were still in the Fantastic Four movies that came out were still in the realm of they didn't know how to do it right. Dark Knight wasn't out yet. The Avengers hadn't come out yet. Now comic book movie companies and movie companies are going, we know how to do this right. You make it a little bit dark. You make it a little more realistic. You take away the goofy comedic side of comics, and it brings a realness that everyone can get behind, essentially.
Yeah, and like what I was getting at is I'm all for, if you're going to reboot a series, don't make the same movie again.
No, yeah, why?
Yeah.
That'd be like them saying, okay, so we're doing the Fantastic Four and the opening sequence is Silver Surfer. You ruined well, they didn't ruin the look of Silver Surfer. He looked really cool, but they ruined him in the Rise of the Silver Surfer second Fantastic Four movie. So get away from what you've done and try something new. I would
Yeah.
love, honestly, Brando, if the first poster for the movie was a live action recreation of issue number 1, where the monster is coming up from under the sewers and the Fantastic Four are fighting it. I'm sold. I don't care. I'm going to the theaters just because they gave me that little bit of hope that they want to stick true to the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you haven't read the new Fantastic Four, I do believe the first trade will be out in October. Don't quote me on that. But it'll have like the first 6 or 8 issues. They're pretty cool. Definitely a good read. Yeah. So I'll move right along. There was a series that I wasn't going to pick up because I already have a couple X-Men series that I love. All new X-Men, where they bring the original X-Men back to the future, which they did. They had a new issue out this week for all new, and it was really good. There are way too many spoilers, so I'm just staying tight-lipped on that one. If you read if you read all new X-Men, you know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, go give that comic a shot. There are 29 issues right now. 29 issues you can blow through in like an hour and a half to 2 hours if you're a good quick reader and you absorb knowledge. So trust me, it's a good read. But Amazing X-Men was coming out, and I thought, I'm not really interested. And then, and some of you who don't necessarily read comics all the time, or if you do, you do know this. I don't know who you are. Brandon, do you know these people?
Know who?
The listeners. Do you know our listeners? Do they all read comics, or are they just here because they think we're cool?
You know what? They could be here because, they think we're cool. I would hope at least some of them have at least a slight interest in comics. Why else would you click on a podcast called Journey into Comics?
Okay, good. So for those of you comic fans who don't know, for a while, Nightcrawler has been quote-unquote dead. As we know with Marvel, they will never permanently kill any character. They always find some way to bring them back because you piss people off for too long keeping a character dead. Charles Xavier. So Nightcrawler's been quote-unquote dead. Amazing X-Men was actually the start of the story of the Amazing X-Men. Is the X-Men, which is Storm and Wolverine and Colossus, kind of a more classic era to X-Men. They end up finding in the mansion a portal to another world. And they're like, well, whatever's on the other side's been screwing with our stuff. Why don't we go screw with them? So they jump through the portal, and they end up in heaven and hell, where they find Nightcrawler living peacefully in heaven, and they eventually talk him into coming back to life, back to Earth. And now they've started a storyline that involves Canada and the Wendigo virus. For those of you who know what that is, it's cool. It's getting really dark, and that's a lot of the Marvel comics stay light and kind of on their toes, but now they're starting to add that, like I said, with the movies, a more realistic thing. You want people to feel for these characters. It's not about it being just entertainment. As an adult who reads comics, this is my escape from some of the real world problems that I face. Stress from work or relationships or whatever, is going on. Comics are where I get away in my downtime. And if I want to talk about problems and stuff, I play music. I write songs. So that's why comics are so important to me, because I escape. So for Marvel to go, hey, you're writing Amazing X-Men, you can keep it kind of light and have playful banter and stuff, but make it more realistic and give it a darker, grim tone of reality that people can sink their teeth into. And that's definitely why I like this new Amazing X-Men series. So again, go check that one out, and we're going to go ahead and scooch our asses on down to The Walking Dead 129. Brando, what's the first word that comes to your mind after reading that issue?
Moving forward. Essentially.
Moving forward. 2 words, but I'll accept that answer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the first phrase. Definitely, as you said, like in the intro, like there wasn't really a whole lot of like spoilerific stuff going along here, But it definitely is moving forward with the spoilers, new people that they found and brought into the camp, and them being kind of nosy and seeing what's going on. Another thing that I really liked about this episode is that you get another glimpse of how this new society works, because for people who or maybe not know, or hopefully did, just remind you, Rick has given Carl the go ahead to move to the hilltop to go be an apprentice for a blacksmith, and he decided to take him there himself, and so they leave on a journey. It takes a couple days, and you get to see as they're kind of traveling along, they come by riders and different people stationed every 5 miles or so, keeping this road clear. This is their trade route, and there's a whole little incident in there that I won't go too into, but I really liked that because it was something subtle enough that was just, it really lets you see how they're working and how everything is intertwined into, like, it's how our society works, but you don't think about how our society works because it just moves on a cog. The gear keeps moving. These guys had to reinvent that gear and get it moving again, and I really liked seeing that.
I thought, as I said earlier, I thought there were some really poignant like lines in this issue that I would absolutely just piss my little girl pants over if they ever ended up on TV. But here are the two that stick out the most to me. Negan talking to Rick says, "No, you don't understand. You're getting everything ready for my return. You're setting everything up just so I can do what I've always meant to do, lead," essentially is a paraphrasing, obviously, what he says. But, you're everything that you've set up is just for me and you don't know it yet. And then the other really totally badass line was kind of Rick's response is that Negan, you're a fucking neutered dog. I have you in the palm of my hand, and you're not good. You're gonna rot in this jail cell, and I don't give a damn. Oh well, you know. Which everything looked brilliant, and then those fucking new survivors showed up, and I don't like them.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely enjoying the jump in time. Uh, is good for me, because it really lets it see a different side. Instead of just going through the Reconstruction period, we get to see the next part of the story that's after the Reconstruction, and through these subtle means, as I said, we know how their society works now, and so we don't have to see all the scenes of them trying to, okay, this is how this works. We're gonna have people placed here. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're doing this. Instead of seeing that, we're seeing the aftermath of it and going straight into the next like big storyline for it. And one other thing that I wanted to talk about for this issue was the ending of it. And as I mentioned before, the newcomers are definitely intrigued by their little encampment here, and they find out that they have a prison and that there's only one guy in there. And Rick pretty much said, when I get back from my trip, I'll introduce you to him. But they can't wait, and they take it upon themselves to go in there. And what Negan says to them, I found to be very interesting because it's being so manipulative.
It's so
And
Negan, actually.
I
Like,
mean,
just
yeah.
turn the key. That's all he's doing. He's just giving the little ignition to their car. He's got those survivors in his back pocket from here on in, as far as I can see.
Oh, definitely. I mean, as far as like, major spoilerific stuff in this issue, it definitely wasn't a whole lot, but it was definitely a key issue moving forward. As you said, with just that little scene between Rick and Negan, and then the ending is just plants that seed within these newcomers, and it's going to be a very important part going forward.
I agree. Did you get to read any of the letter hacks? Because somebody said something, and I I cannot believe that it didn't even hit my mind. Like, I didn't even think about it until I read the words on the paper, and I was like, oh shit, that guy's like dead on.
Which one are you talking about?
Do you know who's missing? Have you noticed any
Yeah.
people that just aren't there that should be there?
Michonne.
Yeah. What's up with that?
I'm I'm just going on a guess here. I'm thinking she's in the kingdom with Ezekiel.
Yeah, you think they're going to kind of actually that's a really good theory because that would allow for them to free up space for new people to shine as new characters in the comic while allowing for Michonne to be a go-to in a time of need. Because
Exactly.
at any point in time, they could go, "Oh, the kingdom was overrun. Ezekiel and everyone didn't make it, but Michonne did. Here she is back with the group. Maggie is at the hilltop. Here she is back with the group. You know, it allows for expansion.
Exactly. We're gonna at all these different communities over the last 2 years. You've got to think that they've got more people, and so it's gonna be a lot more new characters coming in. It's a lot to juggle, but so far we've only been focusing on Alexandria.
Okay, so I got one question from The Walking Dead. Do you think the Rictator is back?
Uh, the, uh, yeah, in a way,
I mean,
it's
it's different.
yeah, it's definitely different because this is more he's earned their respect.
Yeah,
Uh,
at this point, I would hope that he has earned their respect. If not,
oh,
there's something wrong.
definitely. Like that little incident that I mentioned between him and Carl on their route to the hilltop. There was this horse rider who's supposed to be uh, you know clearing the area, or not clearing the area, but making sure the area is clear, making sure his segment is clear, and it wasn't. And how Rick just scolds on him and goes off like it's pretty pretty extreme. It's from the get go. It pretty much he thanks Carl for helping him, and then he turns around and pretty much smacks that guy in the head.
Well, yeah,
And
and I think it's you mentioned Carl, and then he just kind of calmly explains like Carl, that singular mistake could cost us all our lives,
everything.
everything. The
And
end. Story over. Walking done. You know.
exactly. And as far as your question about the dictatorship, I think he's definitely the leader. There's no question. The way that everybody looks to him, they treat him like he's the president or like the king or the dictator, the dictator. I would not necessarily think that it's like to the point of what I say goes. I think it's a little bit more democratic than that. I think other people do have their voices, and so. But as far as like that goes, he definitely has the respect, and it is seen every single time anyone else is in a frame with him, is that they automatically like refer to him and say and like they greet him with such respect.
Yeah. Well, and as we said, I think he deserves that respect. He has been behind some brilliant masterminding escapes, just getting the group out of really shitty situations. I thought that the Negan situation that with Dwight shooting Rick, I thought it was over. I was like, wow, Kirkman is just a dick. He actually killed Rick. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme or anything, but seriously, that was the first thing I was like, what a jerk. I liked Rick quite a
Us
bit.
and see, and that's funny because then the series would be going down a path that very rarely has a comic ever killed its main character and then continued going.
Well, and I think that's one thing that Kirkman is trying to build up. And as I said in previous episodes of our show, Kirkman has up to at least 300, issue 300 of The Walking Dead he already has written, planned out everything he's going to do. He is a mastermind of chess. And I think he's setting up for Carl to become the main quote-unquote hero of the story. So at some point, Rick's going to die. It's going to suck. It's going to be maybe issue 200, milestone issue. You're not going to do it at 150. Everyone thinks
No.
150 is a huge thing. No, 200's big. 300's big. So for me, if they do kill off Rick, I'm going to be sad. But at the same time, I think they're trying to groom Carl into being Rick's, next in line.
I agree with you. And the thing is that they're not going to kill Rick off until that character is ready, until Carl is ready for that. And each little thing, this entire series can almost be described as like a young kid's upbringing in the apocalypse and how it changes him. He's gone through a lot of different character developments, with losing his mother, with gaining another mother, and then being exposed to Negan, and then being the typical sort of rebellious against my parent. And then I think it's this whole thing of him, like you said, when he explained to him how everything could fall apart. It's almost like a parent teaching their child tools to use when they get older. And while that is such a ordinary thing for us to do in real life, he's doing the same thing in the apocalypse. He's grooming Carl to be, a viable person in the apocalypse. And I can definitely see the story arc going that way.
Yeah, and for Carl to grow how he has, there are so many things to Carl that aren't fully evolved. I mean, you mentioned he lost his mother. He's gained a new mother. He's went through and had the whole Negan situation. He lost an eye. He watched his sister get murdered in front of him. He's seen people that he cared deeply for die in all kinds of different. I mean, think about Glenn, Dale. You could just go down the list of different people that have had these really terrible endings that Carl has been close to. The twins, Billy and Bobby? Right?
I have to look that up. I think Billy was right, but I can't remember what the other one's name was.
I can't remember his name either. My bad, other one. That's all I'm going to call you. So we're talking about comics, and obviously The Walking Dead is a badass television series.
On that note, really quick, just to interject, I do have one more thing about The Walking Dead that I didn't tell you about beforehand.
Oh, I'm excited.
Well, the thing is, I thought about it as we were talking about, that topic. But a couple days ago, this little news bit about the new season came out, and pretty much it is Lauren Cohen, who plays Maggie Green on the show, recently tweeted that what was recently filmed for season 5, there was a segment filmed, or a scene that was so disturbing, and she wasn't sure how it was going to make the television.
Oh.
And
man.
Here's another thing. Norman Reedus, who obviously plays Daryl, said every couple of pages you're just like, oh my god, and you have to put it down for a second and think about it. And pretty much what this is getting at is that the show is definitely going to be getting a lot more disturbing.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. It should be more disturbing. It's weird because, okay, for me, a lot of the shows and stuff that I watch, sometimes I get emotionally connected to certain characters that happened in Doctor Who. It quasi-happened in Dexter from time to time, but we've already been there and discussed that.
Yeah.
But for me, The Walking Dead is, and I said this last time, you just don't get too attached to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're gone, and you don't know when, and you don't know who. It could be if Negan's showing up, if everybody talking about this disturbing, sick and twisted thing that they're filming, which now would be for post mid-season, I think, or are they still filming the first half of the season?
I think they're still filming the first half, so
Wow.
I think they don't start filming the second half until the fall.
Okay, that makes sense when they debut.
Yeah.
Okay, that actually definitely makes more sense. So if Negan is coming, there's a possibility that it's not Glenn. It could be someone else. What if it's so funny. I feel like, and I think it was this week's Letter Hacks. It might have been last issue that someone asked him about season 5, and he said, "Oh, in the first episode, Daryl dies." And that's the troll thing we were talking about. But to me, I don't think that he can kill Daryl. He has such a female fan base. It's disturbing.
See, the thing is that I kind of agree with you. Daryl is like the unofficial star of the show. He definitely is the most popular. And although that is a very Kirkman thing to do, is that once you think someone is safe, they're gone. And I can also understand how many people would revolt against that if it were to happen. Like, I'm never watching this show again. They've lost me. But that's what makes The Walking Dead as a series The Walking Dead. When in the comics, when Negan killed Glenn, man, that was in the gut. It was like, oh my God, he's killing Glenn. After all they've gone through, this is how he dies.
Not a walker, not a crazy expedition where something goes terribly wrong, just another human being who's fucking crazy.
Now, see, I got into an interesting conversation with my wife because uh, they were talking about how maybe they've gone too far with these scenes in the next season. And I'm like, it has to go that way if they're bringing Negan into it or someone like him. It has to go there. I don't really want to see a too much watered down Negan or someone of similar nature. It, once this show has been on the air, it's going on its 5th season, and zombies and zombies and zombies. The governor storyline. Okay, where do we go from here? It has to get crazier. It has to get more dark. It has to get just so tense that you feel it, and not just about the walkers. It's about your environment and the people that you meet that are affected by this apocalypse. And I feel like the show has to go there. But I'm afraid that the people in charge. I'm sorry if I hit my microphone.
Happens.
I'm afraid that the people in charge, if they don't have the cojones to do it, it's definitely going to water the series down, and it's going to lose its momentum if they don't go in this direction.
Well, you got to just keep pushing the envelope a little bit further and see how deep and dark you can because this show is already good for taking normal people like mothers and school teachers and dragging them into this dark world. It's now time to push those people's boundaries. And it's weird because when I had you on to interview you as a guest before we decided that this was just too damn much fun, I said I'd love to have Negan in the TV show just because of how he came into the comic and his initial arc. Now, after reading this week's issue, I don't really care about all the other stuff. The 2 years later is where I'm really excited for. Because after they build that character, if they do a time jump in the TV show and leave 2 years, dude, it's on. It's a different kind of... Because everyone's going to go, oh, The Walking Dead is tamed down and everything's cool. But I know how jacked up Negan is. And it's just like... his goal has never changed. He wants the ultimate destruction of Rick, and he wants Carl to be his little bitch. That's all that Negan wants now.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that storyline, and if they do it, I hope they do it right. And of course, as we've mentioned also before, other times on the podcast, Kirkman is Kirkman. He's not going to do the exact same thing in the show as he does in the comic. So it's going to be interesting to see how they translate that into the show. But I just wanted to talk about that little quick Walking Dead thing before we segued and went into this other sort of related comic thing that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe what we're going to talk about is going to get brushed over a little bit, and then we'll keep kind of revitalizing it because there's tons to talk about. But, as I said, The Walking Dead is a great television series. Now you've got... Gotham is coming out this fall. You've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Flash, Arrow. I feel like I'm missing another one somewhere, but maybe Constantine is coming out. Yes, that's the other one I was thinking of. So you've got all these comic book TV series, and then also, Marvel's doing the Netflix series where they have like Daredevil and Luke Cage and stuff like that. And Daredevil's already in filming. I'm hoping that series actually turns out really awesome. But what, to you, if you could name just off the top of your head a couple, either story arcs, major events that happen in the Marvel DC Image universe is one of those, or comic book characters that don't have any kind of media, television, or big screen movie wise. Are there any of these characters or stories that you would like to see that would really honestly make an impact in a non-comic book reader's view?
Yeah, I do have a couple, and one of them is probably one of my absolute favorite Marvel story arc, and that's Civil War.
Oh, dude, Civil War would be so awesome. Civil War would have to be at least 2 hours and 40 minutes. It'd have to push near 3 hours because there's so much. I mean, from how the story starts to Spider-Man's unmasking to the villains and heroes teaming up to the death of Cap to the rebirth of Cap as the Punisher, or Punisher as Cap. There are so many humongous moments that if you didn't give each thing its proper time, the movie would miss the urgency and the brilliance that the comics had, I think.
I can even see like something as like maybe a two-parter to kind of like really flesh it out, like flesh out the story, because there were so many like side stories, and you don't want to oversaturate the actual story with containing too many heroes or too many villains, because it's got to have like the big ones that matter, and all the other side people can kind of be brushed aside. But I think with as much stories that there was like in Civil War, you could definitely make a two-parter out of it.
Oh, absolutely. I will say there is obviously, and you know this as we talk about this, one major problem is that Marvel has given away the rights to a lot of the characters that made Civil War so brilliant.
Yeah.
Spidey is with Sony. The Fantastic Four are with Fox. You need those guys. They're important. Some of the villains, obviously, of the Spider-Man universe were big in Civil War. To me, if Civil War is my go-to series, because that's a story that I would love to see come to life. I know that the Infinity Gauntlet is in the process. That's probably going to be the third Avengers, will be Avengers 3 Infinity Gauntlet, which is all that they're setting up for. And all these movies, all these different relics and stuff that are post-credit scenes and what they're searching for, and the ether and the cosmic cube and the Tesseract and all that. Like, they're just setting up for that. So I can't say that that's something I want to see because I'm sure it's going to happen. But it kind of bums me out that, it kind of really bums me out that there's not a Chew like television show, because there was supposed to be. Chew was in line to have a Showtime series, and they canceled it before it even got off the ground. So that kind of sucks. But if Chew is not a TV series, which I think it'll be, I don't know if people know this, that series is only going to be 60 issues, and then they're done. Like, the creators just said, we're only doing 60 issues, eat it. They only have 18 issues to go then. So that's like a year and a half from now. They'll be done with Chew forever. So I want to see some cool adaptations. If I were to go to a series or a major story arc that would be awesome, Avengers versus X-Men, I think, would also be a really badass story to have on the silver screen. Again, a problem with the rights, who owns who, and all that, but the idea, the end of it, where it would leave the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's almost like a giant reset button. Because Scott Summers is now a fugitive because he kills Charles Xavier, and the X-Men hate him, and other X-Men feel sorry for him, and Magneto teams with him, and then there's, Beast tries to, literally, Avengers versus X-Men shattered everything into this new Marvel universe we have now. All new X-Men is because of Avengers versus X-Men. the new Avengers series is definitely still geared towards the events that happen when Scott Summers gets controlled by the Phoenix Force. So those are probably the two for me that really stick out as things that need to be adapted to the big screen and or the television series.
I actually have two more.
Bring them up.
Definitely the Secret Wars.
Oh,
I think that would be amazing. And again, when you start getting too many characters in a film, it can definitely oversaturate it. I think the Secret Wars would be a damn good video game.
that's Secret Wars as a video game is something I could get behind, like 1,000,000%. That would be actually, here's a thought. I said that if Rocksteady ever decided to stop doing Batman and they don't have some sort of crazy contractual agreement with DC not to ever pursue another comic book character as a video game, it would be awesome to have a Spider Universe done by Rocksteady that you could incorporate the Secret Wars as a DLC of the first game.
That'd be awesome. See, they did such a good job of like making like a really good Batman game where you actually felt like you were Batman. That I'm not gonna put down any like Spider-Man games because I got my favorites, but I think they would do a great job with it.
N64 Spider-Man, just saying.
I've actually have that one on PlayStation, and they made a second one that I don't know ever went to the N64 called Inter Electro. And I've got that
Really?
one too. Yeah.
Huh.
But I got one more, and I don't know if you know about this. You and me have never ever talked about this. And
Okay.
as we were talking about this, I just kind of thought of it, so I did a quick little search here. Do you know what amalgam is?
Nope.
All right. Amalgam. I cannot even say it right. Um,
Oh, that was awesome.
Amalgam is a publishing imprint shared by DC and Marvel, in which the two comic book publishers merged their characters into new ones. And these characters first appeared in a series of 12 comic books, which were published in 1996, and as between the third and fourth issues of Marvel versus DC. And like the new characters created were like Darkclaw, which is like Batman and Wolverine. And you have Deadeye, which is Deadshot and Bullseye. Doctor Doomsday, which is Doctor Doom and Doomsday. And Doctor Fate and Doctor Strange and Charles Xavier were all merged together.
Okay. What am I
And then,
searching? Because I'm doing this right. Like, we're on air. I got my phone out. I'm being a bad human being right now. I'm so going to go be in trouble for this. Amel, A-M.
ALGAM, Amalgam Comics, and that's how you can find this. Just keep going while you're doing that. I'll keep going so the audience stays entertained. You have Spulk, which is fusion of Solomon Grundy and Hulk. You have Spider-Boy, which is Superboy and Spider-Man, and then the Super Soldier, Superman and Captain America fused together.
I see a picture here on the Google search. Iron Lantern?
Yeah.
Yeah, Iron Man and the Green Lantern. That's a cool. Oh, yeah, Amalgam Comics. That's weird. It's like the old school DC stars with the Marvel looking comics. Wow.
I remember Jason having this. Our old bandmate and buddy Jason had this.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
And at the time, it blew my mind because it was like, that is just, of course, that would never happen. That absolutely could never happen in this day and age with as you said, Marvel gave a lot of their rights away for a lot of these characters for other studios to do their things with them. But you're never going to see DC and Marvel come together to make one film.
No, but if you did, oh boy.
It would be awesome.
It would be. Actually, this is like Amalgam Comics. It's a yes. I'm gonna have to go purchase these. Thanks. I'll read them up too. That they look interesting. They're definitely different. And at first, when you said it, I thought you were gonna talk about when Stan Lee wrote for DC. This was a special privilege thing that Marvel allowed him to do, where he wrote Batman stories, but Batman was actually a man bat.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what you were gonna say, and then when you said this, like Dark Claw, I was like, "Whoa, cool!" So, yeah, that would be a neat movie, and I haven't even read it. So, That's something I can be into. Speaking of movies and Marvel and DC, well, more DC. We don't cover a lot of DC here, which is because I'm kind of biased towards Marvel, but that's okay. I was recently informed by Rick, thank you, sir. Rick, you know who you are, that there was allegedly, I like to use the word allegedly, it keeps you out of trouble. I allegedly was speeding earlier today. See, you don't know if I actually was. It was alleged. Um, but allegedly, the Dawn of Justice script was leaked. I searched online for 45 minutes. Doesn't seem like a long time, but I use Google, everybody. I know how to search things and make them pop up. And I could not find this script that was leaked. What I did find was a couple reviews and alleged spoilers. Now, one thing I found interesting, they claim that Kevin Smith wrote this script as a swerve to comic book fans that he would release that was the real script, quote unquote. That way, anything done with the movie, no one would have a clue. It would be legitimately surprising. There would be no way anybody could have any kind of spoilers because the script is online. So, allegedly, he wrote this script, but the things I took away from it that were interesting, it was action-packed with more heroes and villains from both sides than I can even name. Sinestro makes an appearance. The intro scene had Aquaman, which, if that actually happens, it'll kind of blow my mind. I was talking to my buddy, and I said that the legitimacy of Aquaman is going to happen after Dawn of Justice comes out. Jason Momoa is a big, badass mofo, and I think he can give the character a legitimate push to be something that people adore and think are cool instead of a lame dude that talks to fish.
Yeah, Aquaman. I almost said Iron Man. Aquaman's always kind of had that stigma about him. Even when, like, if you remember when DC did that reimagining of the Justice League cartoon, they kind of made him scruffy, gave him a beard, made him lose his hand and get a harpoon, and they tried to really make him more masculine and give him a new kind of a makeover. And he's gonna have to do that in the if they're gonna bring him into the Justice League. He's definitely gonna have to have a different air about him than what he's been stigmatized with.
Yes, I completely agree. So, Brando, here's what I'm going to need for you for like 15 seconds. I need you to speak about anything so I can take care of something that is detrimental to our podcast. Just keep doing what you're doing, folks. Let Brandon take over for a few minutes. I will be right back.
Uh-oh. It sounds like Nate has to use the potty. So, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody who liked us on Facebook, and hope you guys check us out on iTunes. It's really easy to do on your phones. I mean, as I'm just blabbering around, he sounds like he's having some real problems in the bathroom. He really needs to see a doctor about this. Maybe get some laxatives kind of going. I'm not sure what's going on, but as we're not in the same place, I mean, it's kind of difficult. I'm using my ears and hearing what you're hearing, and my imagination is running wild. Oh, wow. He is really going at it. Man.
What did I miss?
Oh, you missed a lot.
Oh, fuck.
So much happened.
Man, every time. I swear, I leave the room for 5 seconds. Brad Pitt showed up, didn't he?
No. I tell you what happened. I finished the podcast. I talked about everything else we need to talk about.
Wow, you are quick.
Dude, I did. I am such a fast talker that I condensed our entire podcast, which is getting on like the hour mark now. Yeah, I condensed it down to like 15 seconds. So yeah.
You're epic.
I am.
Show's over. Click.
Actually not. I actually totally lied about that.
Okay, good. Cool. I was like, damn, he had it on lock. No, I needed to get something to quench my thirst. And for some reason, last episode was under the current episode, so I had to make sure that was deleted so we don't have bleed over from the previous episode, which I thought I deleted earlier, but apparently some part of that stayed. I looked up and I was like, why are we recording over ourselves? Are we talking and ruining what we did? Oh my God. And then I looked at when it ended and I was like, oh, that is exactly what we recorded last time because we had to fix something. So we usually don't do a lot of post-production work. Don't worry. Usually we're pretty authentic of just us talking and no BS. So,
No. The last time was just a quick little edit at the end. It kind of cut me off in what I was saying, so we just kind of recaptured that. But anyway, kind of getting back on topic here. Was there anything else you wanted to add about the whole kind of Justice script leak, or you want to talk about a different script leak that also happened that I didn't know about the Dawn of Justice one. I did know about this one though.
well, before I finish, I do want to say there was a rumor that I read before we came on today that apparently not as a part of the leaked script, rather conceptual drawings, which no one has, but someone allegedly has seen these drawings and brought it to the internet world's attention. Apparently, Doomsday is going to appear in Dawn of Justice, which, as I told you off air, I just don't know how.
We'll see, and that's a weird little tidbit because this sort of almost bleeds into our last topic about story arcs that have not yet been done in a movie. This one, the one that I'm about ready to say, I think it has been done in like an animated film, but the Death of Superman.
It would be so awesome live action if it was done right.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, the Death of Superman, it didn't involve other heroes, really. But so if they're going to do it in this one where they're going to have a whole bunch of other heroes and mainly Batman, other appearances, if they're going to do it with the Justice League, it's going to make it a different sort of story. So that's interesting to me. About that a little bit, it almost seems kind of like they're kind of like blowing their wad a little bit, if that is true, unless he's just going to appear in the end.
They're just jamming this movie. If that's true, there's so much going on.
Oh, I mean, this movie is definitely the setup for their Justice League movie. There's no doubt.
Yeah, but are they going to announce this movie's going to be a two-parter? They might as well just say part one. Because there's no way you blow through all this stuff, and at max, the most anyone's going to sit through. I think X-Men Days of Future Past was 2 hours and 41 minutes. So maybe the 3-hour mark. But, dude, Days of Future Past moved so fluidly and quickly and did not have oversaturation of hero and villain. No. They were just as most X-Men movies are. But this one, I mean, you're talking Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Batman, Superman, Lex Luthor, Alfred, possibly Doomsday. There's more rumored names. They said Jason Todd might make an appearance, and I'm just like, you're really already starting that? Like, we haven't even established our Bat universe, and you're already starting that?
Right, yeah. If it's going to be that long, it's going to start getting into Watchmen territory, and I love the movie The Watchmen. I love the film. That's just me personally. I liked it. I like the style of it. Let's put it that way. And at times, even though I like the film, I kind of feel like it drags a little bit.
Oh yeah,
certain parts.
I think they did a great job with Watchmen of making it more modern as well, as opposed to the original story. Being that the original story was involving the Cold War, we're out of the Cold War. So the movie adaptation was definitely a bright, fresh mix, and that's definitely another podcast we had talked about doing, where we talk about movies that all of you might not know are actually comic book movies. Now, Watchmen, that's an obvious one. It's a comic book movie. But there are plenty that you might not know were a comic book first. So look for that in a future episode. We're getting back to the script leaks section here. And yeah, Brando, first 5 episodes of Doctor Who's script were leaked. And shit, that's not good because that makes me tempted.
Well, and it's good that the series is about ready to start up again, in August. So at least it's like not like if the script leak for Dawn of Justice were legit. If that is that's going to be damaging, and they're obviously going to change stuff. But with Doctor Who, you can't change what's already been filmed.
Yeah, and
it's
they're
already
way
kinda
in.
going out. Yeah, so I hope it's not detrimental. I don't think it will be. I know certain Doctor Who fans that are definitely staying away from it, but it's got to be so disheartening because now the Doctor Who, the reboot, and that's not really a reboot, I guess. It sort of is because the series has come and gone throughout the years. But this iteration has become so popular across the world. It's not just in the UK. It's got a big fandom, and it has got so big in the sort of the void of the sci-fi, television that we have right now. It's just filling that, and so many people love it, and it's got to be so disheartening to say our show is so big, all these people love it, and then to have this happen and it leaks, and right as the series is getting ready to air, and then you're worried, will they even watch now that they know what could possibly, what's going to happen?
Well, here's an interesting thing. Talking about spoilers, and Brando, I know you don't really watch Doctor Who, or if you have recently, I was not made aware, but that's okay. You should watch it.
I've seen season 1, and I've watched into season 2. It's not that I dislike the show. I do like it, but it's got a certain charm that I'm not 100% into. In other words, I can watch it, but after a while, I sort of get tired of its feel. That's not a dog like a dog at it, because I actually do enjoy the show.
Oh, just wait. Finish season 2 and you'll change your opinion. And that's not even a bad thing. Your opinion's not bad or wrong, but I know that when you finish the second season, you will see the show differently, if that makes any sense.
I hope so.
But so actually, speaking of spoilers, and that's like a big thing in Doctor Who, River Song season 4, spoiler sweetie. It's her go-to catchphrase, the line. There's big importance with that. To me, this is not the first time Doctor Who has had something leak. Last year, the final episode of the season, and this is legit, the final episode of the season was available online in a Blu-ray ripped form 2 weeks before it was supposed to air because of a shipping error that sent the second season on Blu-ray to the States to Best Buy where they were available for purchase. And it didn't really affect the numbers. They were still in a high rating over in the UK for its premiere. The Five Doctors, which was decades ago, that leaked. And these scripts leaked only because they were being translated for Latin BBC Latin. So they were in Miami, and someone just happened to click on a link that clicked to a private link that went somewhere they weren't supposed to go, and the next thing you know, they've got five episodes of the new Doctor Who right in front of them. And if I find that, I'm just shutting it off and not telling anyone. Like, I'm just like, I didn't see it. Hopefully no one else did.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I'm glad that the last leak didn't really affect the show. I know the show is, it's so big right now that there's so much anticipation right now for the next Doctor, and to see the episodes with him involved. And so I live with a Whovian. So even though I may not be a super diehard Doctor Who fan, I am very well aware of the Doctor Who verse. Maybe I'm not as I'm not as diehard as as a Whovian like yourself, but this stuff doesn't just go over my head, so I wanted to clear that up. But not everybody shares, your nobility with finding something like that. It's almost like, ooh, let's share this for the whole world to see by clicking share.
Yeah, it takes away from the reason I love that show is because it has always kept me guessing. They have been so damn diligent about keeping things under wraps. It was shocking to me, and this is a beautiful little segue here. It was shocking to me that a classic character who was all the way back in Genesis of the Daleks in the 70s with the Fourth Doctor, and then made his return to the modern series in season 4 with the 10th Doctor and David Tennant. Davros, allegedly from this new trailer, is coming back, and that is, you last see Davros, he's in a really bad place, and you're pretty sure he's dead. But that voice in the trailer could only be one intelligent person that doesn't speak directly like a Dalek, and that can only be Davros. And if that's the case, I'm ecstatic. He's my favorite. a major player as far as a Doctor Who villain. The Master is a very close second. But if they're bringing Davros back, they're not playing around. Like, they're gonna put this new Dr. Peter Capaldi to the test, and I know he's gonna succeed. As I've said before, he's a tried and true Whovian, and I'm just excited to see where the series goes. There's a big door of things that can happen right now, so I'm just holding my breath in anticipation. Ugh. Had to get readjusted. Sorry, everybody. So we're going to move on here. Brandon sent me a link earlier. This is superhero and comic book related, and then we kind of ended up sharing several links. My links to him weren't comic book related, and then both the links one link he sent me, one link I found that was on his page, are comic book related. So I'll talk about yours first, and then I can kind of let you talk about what you saw in mine. That way we can kind of gauge the perspective of what we actually witnessed. So DC got to be a little bit of both a hero and a villain, because to start, they were requesting that a statue of a little boy with a Superman shirt be taken down because the Superman logo was on it. This boy's dying wish was to have a statue in a Superman shirt, and they said, take it down. No, that's our copyrighted, blah, blah, blah. And they were only thinking from a business aspect. And I did read online that some people were like, well, they didn't want to be associated with a child's death.
Well, hold on. Before you go on, did you hear how this child passed away?
I actually didn't get to that because, like I said, I had read the resolve from this. So
Okay. He was pretty much left in a room by his grandparents for about 14 hours in his own feces, and was very malnourished, and
that is
it was
really sad.
I mean, he was clearly abused, and he was so in love with the character Superman, he went for Superman for Halloween, and he wouldn't quit gabbing about Superman. And so, as far as DC, they didn't want to be associated with, I guess, the such the negativity around the child's death.
Yeah, that's a pretty negative stigma. So I see from a big company where that quote unquote kind of makes sense, but then the internet happened and people were like pissed. Like, fuck you, DC. I'm never reading a DC title again. How could you do this? We're human. You know, this boy loved your character. What are you doing? And DC went, okay, we made a mistake. And we do want to honor this little boy's wish, so we're going to let the statue stand, and we're going to give our full blessing. And I thought that just said volumes about their company.
I love the internet. I just want to say that. I absolutely love the internet because there's so many times, you know, as that old meme, faith in humanity has been restored. You know, and this is just one example. This has been so many examples that I could think of where the internet as a community, as you pretty much, you come in, you slap them in the face and go, are you serious? Really? Don't. Come on. Stop thinking business and start thinking logically. And when you said that the internet kind of got back on that does make me happy, because there's so many things going on in this world that's trying to stifle the internet and its growth. And I'm not going to turn this into a political rant, but every single time that this has come up, the internet's banded together and went to war and fought against it. And it warms my heart to hear that they've convinced DC to sort of kind of get back with this and allow this kid, who, if there's any definition of Superman, this little kid is the embodiment of that character.
That was well said. Like, seriously, you nailed the hammer on the head. That is, I couldn't have thought of those words better. I mean, this kid fought, from what you're telling me, and just, he fought to survive. He was a survivor. He did what he had to until he couldn't. And that DC definitely gained my respect. Now, I had a point where I was trying to go, and that happens from time to time with my brain. It just cuts out.
our podcast is getting pretty long, and I want to remind our listeners we're doing this at like pretty late in the evening, early in the morning. We do this kind of on the early evening. You know, we're kind of winding down for the night, just sit back, have a good chat, and we're both a little bit tired at this point, but we're gonna keep trucking through because we got quite a few more things to talk about.
And I want to make an apology because after listening to the last podcast, I noticed there were a couple times where I spaced out, and that was just me being an ADHD kid, and it sounds unprofessional. There are a couple pauses where I was listening, but I wasn't being responsive. So to all of you, just we're getting the formula down. I will put my ADHD in my back pocket while we are recording, and I'll pull that sumbitch out when it's time to just chill. Ooh,
Oh, hey, you know
squirrel.
what? Yeah. So you're not the only one. I was taking a drink earlier, and you asked me a question, and I didn't hear it because I was swallowing, and I heard that, heard the swallowing in my ears. So it was like, who? who
Oh,
are we? Who are we talking about?
oh, that's awesome. Oh man. So no, what I was gonna say is you said the internet is you love the internet. It's a great place. To me, I think the internet is starting to show what it can do in a good sense. There's a lot of bad.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you see a lot of really crazy stories about people and what they've done because of the internet and this and that and the other. And I don't know if I hate to bring up negative because I'm a very positive, good vibes person. But I know last year, the year before, a guy put up a picture of his wife he had just killed in their kitchen on Facebook. And that was crazy. That guy's going to prison for life. Good. He can fucking rot there. But to me, this is where the internet is starting to show that humanity as a people will not stand when one of its own gets disrespected. And I think that speaks volumes. I think the internet is also helping to allow men and women to love and marry who they want because people are becoming more educated. There's less bias because you can just go research a non-objective viewpoint of somebody's beliefs and go, oh, I get it. It's not brainwashed by Fox or MSNBC or CNN or whoever your news stations are that feed this news. The internet is a place where if you're intelligent about what you're looking for, you can find what you're looking for. If that makes any sense. I hope it did.
Yeah, and as you said, a lot of positive and a lot of bad. Just to interject here, I'm throwing some random stuff at you. I don't want to get into a big, long conversation about this, but the internet's also a place for a lot of randomness. and
Oh, yes.
this last week was a certain story that kind of hit me about Kickstarter, and you may have heard about this. Kickstarter is a great place for artists, musicians, independent game developers to go and let their target market, their audience, fund their project. Then they get kickbacks for it, and that way the project can actually exist and get out to the public. This guy wanted to make potato salad, and his goal was $10.
He raised $9,000 fucking dollars.
I'm on the page right now, and it's a lot more than 9. It's at 48,942
What?
for potato salad.
So what then? Seriously, does he just get that money? Because here's the thing. I've always said, if you have a dream and you have something you believe in, you can go on Kickstarter and make whatever kind of money you need. You just need to have faith and belief in yourself. I know there was a guy one time who was funding for a dinosaur expedition in Africa because he believed that dinosaurs are still alive. He raised $43,000 to go on a non-real expedition looking for animals that have been extinct.
Yeah, and that sort of gets it, back to what we were talking about. The internet can be so kind, and the fact is that there are 5,933 people who felt like this guy deserves to have some potato salad, and they're gonna give him one hell of a potato salad. There's actually, oh gosh, I'm reading this as we're going about this, so this is totally raw here. Uh, his stretch goals. It's like, hey, if we make it to $35, I'll make 4 times as much potato salad. I know $40 isn't 4 times 10, but you guys have earned it.
Oh,
And at $75, he's throwing a pizza party. And at $100, he's going to try 2 different potato salads. And then later on, it's like $250. I'm using better mayonnaise. $300. I'm calling a chef to get a better recipe.
wow.
And then at $1,000, I'll do a live stream of the potato salad making. And at $1,200, I'll pay someone to film a thank you video for all my backers.
Holy shit. He is a genius.
Yeah, and there's so many people online who hate him for it, and I guarantee you that because who wouldn't want just to put up saying I'll make a potato salad and then get $50,000 in your pocket? I mean, you're going to kick some back to Kickstarter for actually doing this, but that's more money. I mean, than most people make in a year.
You know what I bet that kid does, because it's going to be a quote-unquote good publicity stunt, and it'll make him quote-unquote rich and famous, because they'll want to utilize him for other projects, because, you know, he did this really small Kickstarter thing. So then what he'll do is he's going to make this great potato salad. He's going to hit the highest stretch goal, whatever it is, because he's obviously surpassed it. He didn't plan to get $50,000. And then I guarantee you he will donate all of that money to charity.
That would be a great thing to do.
Because then he looks like this, and maybe this guy is really a legitimately generous person who wants to give back. Then it just shows the internet paid it forward, and it literally went full circle.
That would be awesome.
So
I didn't mean to go off in too far of a tangent, but I had to bring that up.
Oh, that's totally okay. So the other video that I saw, Brandon, this was on your Facebook. I don't know who shared it, and I tried to find it on YouTube, and I had all kinds of trouble because I was going to have the link ready for when we put this episode up, but I'm sure you can find it or I can find it, whatever. We'll get it. But Batman Loves Heavy Metal was absolutely brilliant. This video, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's an animation, which the person did themselves, of Batman as lead singer, and Jason Todd as the bass player, Dick Grayson Nightwing as the guitar player, and Damian Wayne Robin, the drummer, and they sing and play Metalocalypse Deathclock's song, Face Fisted is the name of the song. But it just your mom, you're an ugly man is one of the lines, and it's Batman singing at Deadpool's face. You're as tough as sand, and he's singing at Sandman. Your mom's fucking fat, singing at the Hulk. Your mom blew a rat, singing to Splinter. I don't even know if I can get through all this. You were a mistake to Spider-Man. You have sex with cake to Willy Wonka, or Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Was that still Willy Wonka in that movie?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, Charlie's the kid.
Okay. So you think you're so tough. I don't know. I think it was Bane, maybe not Bane. I don't remember. And then You're a Living Bluff was Riddler. And then he just keeps going on, and it's just the lyrics of Metalocalypse Deathclock with this animation is just funny as shit. And I didn't know what I was getting into. I thought it was actually the Batman animated series mashed up with Deathclock. And then when I saw that it was a custom animation that someone had done on their own time, it just made it so much funnier to me, for sure.
I loved it. Yeah, a coworker of mine shared that. That was amazing. And all those lines that Nate said, if you know like Deathclock and how quickly those lines can come, they're pretty pretty back to back and quick firing, and it's almost like you can't you can't like hear it sometimes, because you're laughing right over what he's saying, and it just keeps going. And I loved that video. That video made my day.
Yeah, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's the ass combo. Like, what? I'm in love. This is brilliant. So Brando, I did send you a couple links. These are more, all I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna hand it over to Brando, is these are more serious. I think a little
Yeah.
more. I don't topical is not really the word I'm looking for, but fuck it, I'm gonna go with it. So I'm just gonna let you go, and I'm gonna shut up now.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. He sent me a couple videos as we were like, sort of, you know, getting ready to go, and so one of them, the first one was this guy shaving his beard for his grandmother's 100th birthday, and it's basically saying that she always hated his beard, and so for her 100th birthday, he's shaving it off. And there was in the video, it was like him shaving it, and she was getting excited, and then she even helped shave him, and then you know, pretty much it was just sort of a feel good thing. Now I got to ask you a question about it. Did you click the link of what he gave for her 99th birthday?
No, I didn't. I on my mobile, I didn't see a link that I could click. So you'll have to
All
fill
right.
me in.
What was that?
This is a chair. I got to get a
Oh,
new
okay.
chair for the studio. It's broke as
I'm like,
shit.
somebody is knocking on my door. It's the Sandman telling me to go to sleep. But okay, no, for her 99th birthday, he gave her a shirt that says, "I've got 99 problems, but age ain't one."
Huh. I
And
like that.
it was a cute little video, and I like that. The other one was, it was almost kind of like a short film that was created, and it's like a neat little like perspective on people, and it's almost like an experiment. It's called The Slap, and where two people pretty much meeting for the very first time have to slap each other in the face. And it's pretty neat because it's like delightfully awkward in a way at times. And so like people, it's almost like when you meet someone for the first time, you don't necessarily automatically click with them. Like, okay, hi, Nate, meeting you for the first time, I'm gonna slap you in the face, or how are we gonna go about this? And it was neat how the video kind of progressed and how these people reacted to it.
It went from when I first saw the video, I was lying in bed and I was on Failblog because that's where I go to see different funny things. And sometimes they put not funny things that you have to see. Just like this is something that is worth watching. And I think the almost 8 million views on the slap kind of have a lot to say about it. Because at first when I watch it, I'm laying down and I'm giggling and I think, wow, this is really funny. Like you said, it's very delightful. I noticed as it got deeper into the video, I started to kind of get emotional about it. I didn't cry or anything, but I just felt like there was such a legit bond and a connection that you could never fabricate. Like those people will be friends for life
Yeah,
because
because the
it's
first time they've met.
it's an experience that's unlike anything else. And I don't know if you noticed this, but there was a celebrity in there, right?
Was that Haley Joe Osment?
Yes, it was. Look
Oh
in the
my
credits.
gosh. I didn't see the credits, but he was kind of that bigger guy with the beard and the hair.
Yes, isn't
Oh,
that wild?
I'm like, that guy kind of looks like Haley Joe Osment, and that's kind of cool that that's him. That's neat.
Yeah, in the credits he's just Haley Osment, but yeah, it's him. So,
It's cool.
it was definitely like I said, it speaks volumes, and it's a cool video to watch. I try to show people stuff like that. Apparently, the people that did that video did a different video where 20 male, female, or whatever, depending on their sexual preference, were meeting for the first time and kissing instead of slapping.
I seen that. Yeah, I did see that where they.
So I'm going to have to actually go and watch that and kind of report back on what I feel about that one. I feel like that one's just not even something I could get emotional about. It's just people making out, essentially.
Well, it's not even like, okay, let's tongue kiss. It's like the awkwardness of, I have to kiss this person I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah.
Just, yeah, very cool. Speaking of videos, we don't have a video, but there's allegedly a video that's coming out Monday. So Monday's going to be a big day for wrestling fans, hopefully. It might be a video. It could be a Raw appearance. But our sources are telling us it looks like Sting is going to be in the next WWE game, maybe?
I've heard about this, and I've heard that they're kind of going about it the same way that they did with Ultimate Warrior last year, where they kind of reached out to him to be in the game, and that sort of opened up, you know, conversations between himself and and Triple H. And so I've Sting has been a free agent for a while. He was in TNA, and now that he's freed from that and he can do what he wants, there's been a lot of rumors pretty much since WrestleMania season that Sting's coming in. Sting's coming in. He's finally going to have his WWE run. I can't really think of it being much of a one now because he's much older, but he's such an icon in the business, and that's the one place he's never worked, and it's crazy because there's not too many people who you could call an icon who have not worked for WWE.
Well, he was he was the star, the shining bright light of WCW for so
Mm-hmm.
long. I mean, you know this from as far back as we can probably have known each other. Like, I'm a huge Sting mark, have been since day one. Like, for me, there was always something cool about Sting when he was bleach blonde and the California Dreamin' Boy Sting. He was badass. And then when he became the Crow-like character Sting, took it to a different level for me. And he has definitely kind of continuously evolved the persona of Sting. But to have him finally come where I consider he needed to be all along, even though he considered them the enemy, and his big thing against them was they are too over the top, extreme, and dark and dirty and filthy and smutty. To see that Triple H's main goal is to reach out to all these legends who have not been respected properly, whether it be Jake, whether it be Scott, whether it be Ultimate Warrior, Sting. He's saying, look, this is where this has to be a chapter in your book.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be. Like, we've survived through everything. We lived through the Monday Night Wars. We got through what we thought was going to be an uprising of TNA. And, I never did see, did they bring the Six side back?
It hasn't aired on television yet. I believe it's going to air this week. It's going to be the first of the because they actually taped in the Manhattan Center,
Oh.
and that's where they brought it back at. But I agree with you to an extent because um, they're bringing back these names for the Hall of Fame and to be involved within the company because Triple H got Bruno Sammartino to come back and get inducted when he said he would never ever get inducted. He would turn it down because he doesn't agree with where the company is going. However, how you said about how the company it was so like smutty and filth and gutter trash television, it sort of was in the attitude because that's where society was really. And when you stop and think about it, the Jerry Springer era of our society in the late '90s, that was where humanity was. That's where we wanted to be. The WWE as a company is no longer that. And so once they showed that to Bruno, Bruno came in, and then they reached out and they acknowledged with Warrior what they did wrong. Warrior acknowledged, what he did wrong, and that got it. With Sting, it's a little different because, another aspect of Sting is he was afraid of what they would do with the Sting character. And I'll just quote something that he said because I happen to remember everything. Um,
Me too. It's an awesome little feat to have.
um, in one of his interviews, when he talked about not going to WWE after the closure of WCW, uh, he was, obviously, the thought of him going and interacting with all the big WWE guys, it's obviously a no-brainer for making money. But during the invasion, there's a scene where The Rock and Booker T are both in the ring cleaning house, beating up people, and then they ended up backing up into each other, and they turn around and they act like that they're going to hit each other. Then they stop, and this is supposed to be the big WCW guy, the big WWE guy, and The Rock cuts the tension with "Who are you?" And that instantly, and you know what? And I actually don't like that because it instantly drops down Booker T, who is supposed to be the last rising star of WCW. Maybe he wasn't on that level yet, but he was. That's where they were grooming him to be. For him to say that totally cut any momentum, and I could totally get Sting's perspective and not wanting to come in because they did the same thing with Scott Steiner. They sort of did the same thing with Goldberg. They watered down their characters and made them mean less.
That,
And
and they also, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to say this properly. So if you know this story, feel free to interject and help me out. I believe I read an article somewhere where Buff Bagwell was talking about coming to the WWE, and Vince and him were on the phone, and Vince was all buddy-buddy, and Vince invited him to the house and acted like he had no idea who Buff Bagwell was, treated him like he was nothing, and sent him on his way. And I think that kind of summed up Vince's mentality of, you're just someone from WCW. You made money to do something my guys did because they loved it.
well, honestly, I think I've heard that story somewhere before, but I do know that it was the first night that the whole WCW storyline was going to kick into an effect. They gave WCW they were recently planning on having WCW become a brand to compete with the WWF brand at the time, kind of like how they did with Raw and SmackDown for so many years. And they gave WCW an hour on Raw to put out like this new branding of television, and that main evented with Booker T and Buff Bagwell. And Bagwell and Booker T didn't really have that great of a match. The announcers they had Scott Hudson and Arn Anderson, and
Yikes.
that wasn't very good. Stacy Keibler was the ring announcer. I mean, this thing was almost like built and designed to fail. And from that point, Vince McMahon got it in his head that nobody from WCW knows how to work. So we need to teach them how to work our style. And with Buff, he actually came in for that first night and got injured and ended up never coming back. There was a whole story on JR's podcast about the whole incident with Buff Bagwell and how Buff didn't call the company. Buff had his mom call the company.
Oh, Judy.
And pretty much that rubbed JR the wrong way. Is like, you can't even get on the phone and talk to me as a man. You got to send your mom to do it for you. And I don't remember that. I'm sorry. I just said I remembered everything, and then I just proved myself wrong. I don't remember that entirely. But going back to the whole Sting thing, he released a tweet that was very cryptic that just had the date 7/14/14. So it definitely could be the news that Sting is going to be in the upcoming game. And the thing about it with me is that I always thought when Sting was going to come in, it was going to be this big, cool, epic storyline. He's going to appear surprisingly, and it's going to be like on the grandest of fashions. But at this point in Sting's career, where if he has a run in WWE, it's not going to be that big legendary run that, say, it could have been 10 years ago. It's going to be on a much lesser scale, but it's definitely going to close the book on his career, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. I would have loved, and this is something that I don't know if ever happened in WCW, but if it would have been the right time in their careers, I think Jericho and Sting put on some of the best matches that ever happened in the history of the sport. Just
I'll
saying.
have to look up to see if they actually wrestled. I don't think they did, because when Jericho was getting hot, that's when they did, or if you want to call that hot, when he was getting his segments in WCW, doing what little he did, Sting wasn't wrestling at the time. He was doing his Crow gimmick, so I don't think they ever crossed paths, but that would have been awesome. I agree. I think that Sting and Shawn Michaels would have been a great program to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And
And
that's something that, I mean, HBK can come out of retirement.
Yeah, if he loses that gut that he got since he's been retired, but I think he would be one of the few guys that I would give the okay to come back for one match if he wanted to wrestle Daniel Bryan. I'd love to see that.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mentor versus.
and see,
Oh.
last year we're getting so off on a tangent here. Journey into tangents, everybody. Hashtag. Last year, it.
Oh, that was good. Journey into tangents. I'm writing that shit down.
Well, that was in the last episode, and this is how our shows are going to be. Once we get into it, we just go all over the place. Last year, it really seemed like they were building up a program that could be a WrestleMania match. And at the time, I was dedicated. I wanted to see Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania and get his story. But if there was ever going to be a match that wasn't him in the main event, it was going to be him and Shawn Michaels, because I think it would have been awesome.
They would have stole the show, obviously, with the showstopper. So let's book ourselves down. We do have a resident guy here on Journey into Comics that talks about video games. You might know him as B Random, or I know him as Brando or Brandon. You guys might as well. So, Brandon, what do we got for video game stuff lately? I've only been playing Mario Kart and getting real pissed off at playing against other people around the world. I feel like if you're an American playing Mario Kart and you're in a room of non-Americans, they literally hold their items and fuck you. They don't care what position you're in. You could be in dead last and they'll shoot everything backwards.
Well, I've been on vacation the last week, and I've been pretty much pushing through Arkham Origins. I think I said in the last podcast I've finally gotten around to starting that up. I actually beat it 2 nights ago, and even though I said I didn't know if I was going to 100% it, I did 100% it, but I did get all of the Enigma stuff done, and then I did all of the Blackgate Prisoner wrap up, and now I just bought Cold Heart, so I'm looking forward to playing through that tomorrow, probably, it seems now.
Cool.
But
Oh,
sorry.
I'll go real quick.
Yeah. You go ahead. Go ahead.
What did you think about once you got all the Enigma things, the final trophy?
See, I like that because this game is really. At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I sort of agreed with the reviews of, okay, this is basically the same game that we played, just with a different story, different skin. But really, what this game is doing is it is the origin of this universe that they've created for the Arkham series, and a lot of the characters really got an origin treatment. Definitely Bane, Joker as well, but also Enigma, or he goes on to become the Riddler. And after you finish his stuff, spoiler alert, you get the very first Riddler trophy, which you spend the next 2 games. You spend hours getting these things, and that when you're done with them, you never want to do them again, which is why I mentioned not wanting to do the data packets for Enigma, because I feel like I've already done it twice over. But I did it, and I was actually, that neat little thing was worth it for me. I'm looking forward to playing through Cold Heart, as I said. I have not been playing Mario Kart here recently. I've been stuck on Batman. I haven't even played the other game I said I was playing, which was Lunar for PSP. In other news, I don't really have gaming news from out there in the gaming world. I don't have too much, but I have been finally working on my game room. Nate's mentioned before he's got his little comic room where he likes to retreat to and read his comics in his own comfort. I now have a game room in its most primal form. I have a computer chair, an old TV, and it's sitting on an old bedside table. And it's gonna be more later on. It's definitely gonna be more of a game room as it goes on. It's very bare right now, but at least it's bare. At least it exists in this form. And I'm so excited to be able to get everything set up. I've got all of my games. I was able to squeeze all of them into a clothes dresser, those things made of wood that you put clothes in. Yeah, I was able to put all those in there. All 324 of them. I've got more games. Picked up a few games, which kind of leads me to my next segment of this part of just talking about what I've been doing. One thing I really love doing is I love going to Goodwills, because you'll find little things and sometimes really cool things for gaming, because people don't realize what they have and what they're giving away. And just today, I went to 2 different Goodwills, and the first thing that I found was a wireless GameCube controller. Not the Wavebird like I got on that I mentioned in the last episode. This one was made by Pelican, but it was like $6.
I know that controller.
Yeah, it's a wireless one, and it was in decent shape. I'm not going to have to do too much cleaning to it, but I'm like $6. Okay, yeah, sure. I'm looking at the games, and the Goodwill I went to likes to price their games on about the $6 range. So I didn't find anything there that was worth that. But I did right before I left. I was walking out, and I found a neat little movie soundtrack that I know we've listened to before, Nate. And we actually just mentioned the movie on the podcast, this very episode. The Punisher soundtrack was $2.
Oh, dude. For those of you who don't know, for a couple shows, I think 3 or 4, maybe 5, our intro music for our band gigs was actually the theme from Punisher.
Yeah.
That trumpet.
Unfortunately, that's not actually on the soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah, but it has the song that that fella sings in there.
Oh, that's cool.
Has that
In
and
Time.
Yeah, In Time. There's that song, and it's full version. It's got the full version on there. And one of my favorite songs I don't think was ever released in any other format was "Damaged Plan" featuring Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains. "Ashes to Ashes." That's why I bought it. I'll be honest with you. There's a few other cool tracks on there that I like, but that is the reason, because I wanted to own that song in physical form. And $2 for a whole album is, awesome.
Trying to think. I know that soundtrack pretty good, and to be honest, I don't have my CD in front of me, so I'm not cheating. I don't have the internet, none of this. I know Step Up by Drowning Pool's on there.
Yes, it is.
Slow Chemical, which is actually Kane's music.
Yeah, and Broken.
And Broken with Seether and Amy Lee.
And it's got a few other guys. It's got I think Nickelback is on there. It's got maybe Trapped. As I said, I don't have this. I'm not looking up anything either. I'm just going off my thought. There's a few others on there as well. So moving on though, I was getting ready to leave, and there weren't any cash registers open, or no one working them. And this old lady asked me if I could find anybody. So I'm looking around trying to find somebody to work the damn register, and I end up walking back by the books again, which I'd already walked by once, and something caught my eye. And it was the strategy guide for Final Fantasy VIII. And I went, And I grabbed it, and it's in nearly pristine condition. There's only a few marks on the cover, but you actually can't see them unless you move the cover into the light, and you see these little indents on them. But there's no frayed corners, there's no frayed, bent pages, and it was $1.
I was gonna say, let's get down to brass tacks. How much that? $1?
$1. And
$1.
I looked up online, and in the condition that I found it for, they're going for between $50 and $80. I found some weird guy trying to sell his for like $500. Good luck there, pal. But for $1, I get this guide, which I used to have back in the day until it got ripped up. I'm glad to have it back. And the coolest thing that I got today, gaming-wise, I went and hung out with a buddy of mine for his bachelor party, and I'm actually in his wedding. I'm a groomsman, and he asked me to be in it as like a last-minute addition, and he got every single one of his groomsmen a gift, and he got us all flasks. And I'm not a drinker, and I very rarely ever drink, and he was joking that he was going to put Monster in it because I do like the occasional Monster, and I'm on uppers. They're all on downers. So,
Timeout. I gotta ask. Did he get you guys the NES cartridge flasks?
He got me the Game Boy flask.
What?
It pretty much has the printing of a Game Boy, and in the Game Boy letters on the green screen in the black text, it says my name.
That's badass. You'll have to Instagram a picture. We need to get a Journey into Comics Instagram, I think.
I think so too. I mean, I think we could each put like some cool stuff on there in relation to just all the stuff we talk about, because even though this podcast is called Journey into Comics, we talk about so much other stuff.
Yeah. We love a lot of things. Can't help it. So Brandon, I told you I had a surprise, and I knew I'd catch you off guard on this one. So you got me with Factor Bullcrap, so it's my turn for a game. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to my game, which I created called Movie Mashup. Now, here's how you play. Brandon, I will tell you, or ask you rather, did blank and blank do such and such action together? Now, the names are movie characters. Your goal is to figure out whether what I'm telling you is true or false. And then if it is true, you will name all 3 movies involved, each character individually, and then the movie that they were both together in.
All right, so basically, I have to think about whether or not the actors who portrayed the characters you're telling me were in movie 3, but then I have to tell you that if that was true, if these characters from movies 1 and 2 respectively, the actors appeared in movie 3 and are doing what their characters did in movie 3, but you're telling me in the form of the other characters.
Correct.
All right.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to get right into the thick of things. I got to know, did Destro and Ghost Rider ever get into a fist fight?
Destro, Ghost Rider.
I'd play the Jeopardy theme music, but we'd get sued.
Well, not necessarily, because this is a free podcast as long as it was under 15 seconds, but not to pay any royalties.
Oh, look at you knowing stuff.
Ah, yes. Honestly, I don't know. I'm just going to guess and say false.
It is true. Destro was played by Christopher Eccleston in the G.I. Joe movie. Ghost Rider. Oh, Christopher Eccleston was the 9th Doctor, by the way, for those of you who didn't know. Ghost Rider, being Nicolas Cage, they did actually fight in a movie called Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay. I am totally going to lose nerd points. I'm just going to blame it on it being, 2:30 my time in the morning. I was not thinking of Ghost Rider.
What?
I was thinking of Knight Rider.
Oh, yeah, no. No, not Hasselhoff.
Because I'm like, whoa,
Okay.
Hasselhoff?
Well, how about this?
If I would have said it, I almost said it, and then you would have called me out on it.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to pitch you I'm going to lob you a softball on this one, okay? I want you to knock this one out of the park for me. Did Nick Fury and Howard Saint roll through Inglewood together?
That is true.
That is true. Now, what movies?
That is so true. Well, you said Nick Fury, so that would obviously be the Marvel Universe and Avengers, which is, of course, portrayed by one Samuel L. Jackson.
Ding, ding, ding.
And Saint was also from The Punisher, portrayed by John Travolta. And
ding, ding, ding.
Those two rolled down the streets of Inglewood in Pulp Fiction.
Fucking dead on. That's why you're the best, my friend. That was awesome.
Oh, man.
Okay. So I'm excited for this one. I have to give you this clue. The Loki I speak of might not necessarily be Marvel's Loki. Did Loki and the Joker work in an Irish mob together?
Might not be Marvel's Loki. So now I got to remember a different Loki. Which I don't know if I can.
I might actually be a little... I don't know if you've seen what I'm speaking of, but that's why this game is fun. Woohoo!
Alrighty. I'm getting a connection between the Joker and the Irish Mafia.
You should.
So I know that one. But I'm not getting a different Loki. So, are you talking about Jack Nicholson and The Departed?
Well, that is very good. Yes, I am. So I'm gonna give you half points. So you're at 1.5 points.
right.
The Loki is actually Matt Damon from Dogma.
Dogma. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
was the good cop, bad guy in The
I was
Departed.
I was drawing a complete blank on that. I couldn't think of another one for some reason.
All right, we'll move on. Did the Mask and Gamora get romantic when he said yes?
Did the Mask and Gamora? I don't know if I know who Gamora is.
She's I'll give you the actress's name, Zoe Saldana, who was also in Avatar.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't know this one.
Yeah, this was my super tough one. It is false because Jim Carrey as the Mask, or Jim Carrey in Yes Man, did not get romantic with Zoe Saldana's Gamora. Rather, Zoe Deschanel, who was an elf. So, good curveball on that one.
Good curveball, yes.
Final
And
one. This is
okay.
maybe easy, but go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think I've ever seen Yes Man.
Yeah, it's Jim Carrey. That's all I can say. It wasn't one of his best. It was kind of funny, the idea that you don't say no ever. You just say yes to everything, and then it leads to him getting bigger dick pills and a rug and a wife from China and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And he goes on a night bender and drinks 48 Red Bulls, and like that would kill a man.
I vaguely remember that movie coming out, but I've never seen it. So
Yeah,
that,
if you get a chance, it's a decent watch one time through. It's not something you'll become obsessed with, but yeah, it's all right. Okay, so final one, and here we go. Did Scott Pilgrim knock up Kitty Pryde?
that is true.
All right, let's see if you can put your money where your mouth is, true man.
Alrighty. I'm not gonna be able to get all of their names right because I don't remember the name of the kid. I just know him as the kid from Superbad.
Good,
and,
Michael Cera. I'll give you that.
Michael, there it is. You said it. All right. So all right. He is. He definitely knocked up Kitty Pryde because Kitty Pryde is also Juno, and that's also Ellen Page, right?
Correct. So
There we
you
go.
got that one. Because Scott Pilgrim is obviously Scott Pilgrim versus the World. If you would have named any X-Men movie with Kitty Pryde, you would have won
Yeah.
nothing because I have nothing to give you. So that's my little game. It went okay, I guess.
I got 2.5 points, which is I don't know how many. How many were there? 4 or 5?
5, so that's 50%. And I got 50% on your game.
Well, awesome. I don't feel like such a failure.
You shouldn't. No, not at all. And I made them a little bit difficult and was really thinking about them. So,
Yeah, you were.
yeah, that's what I do.
I was over here thinking about Knight Rider.
that cracked me up legitimately. Oh, Knight Rider. Wow. So we're fastly approaching the 2-hour mark, which is the longest we've been.
Holy crap.
So I just wanted to go on real quick and say to everybody that liked us on Facebook, to everybody that has been listening to this podcast, to anyone that shows any kind of support, whether it be giving us ideas, answering questions, or asking questions, giving us feedback, including me saying too much in the last episode. Somewhere around 42 times I said Yeah, it's just something that happens. So I just want to thank everybody. Brando obviously is a phenomenal co-host. We've got a couple great episodes planned in the near future. But before we go, Brandon, are you going to bed right after this?
No. I'm going to be probably finding something to do. I've got some projects. I'm going to clean up some controllers. I had some Super Nintendo controllers that weren't being very responsive, so I'm going to clean those up. I got me some Brasso. I'm going to clean me up some cartridges. I'm going to take them apart, clean the pins. That's what I'm going to do. Probably film on the WWE Network or something I don't have to pay a lot of attention to for some background noise. So I'm not going to bed. I answered your
So,
question very, very lengthily.
yeah, that was a long-winded answer, but I appreciated it. So I'm going to open challenge. You want to race Mario Kart?
Well, if you are available and I am available, which we both are, then yes, I will race you on Mario Kart right after this.
Yeah, we should just do like 3 or 4 races and then talk about the results.
All right. So I want to thank everybody as you have as for following us on the Facebooks. Anybody who checks us out on Instagram, and anybody who will subscribe to us. I hope you guys subscribe to us on iTunes. This podcast is getting pretty long. It wasn't really planned to be because we do have sort of a rundown of, okay, let's talk about this and that. Let's just go with it. That's just the way me and Nate are. We're two chaps sitting down talking about stuff, and since we don't see each other all the time, as you can get with your friends, sometimes you get a little bit extra chatty and you get a little deviated, and then you journey into tangents. So I do apologize for that. So listen to this show in segments on your way to work, when you're walking your dog, mowing your lawn, or deflowering your cat, whatever you want to do. It's probably not a good thing to do.
I was going to say screwing the princess because Mario's getting some in his spare time.
Oh, buddy, there's a picture that I need to show you.
Oh, God. So I also wanted to we'll talk about that picture off air. We're not going to make this super X-rated. But I did want to mention that most of you probably noticed, although no one has officially... Well, actually, we did have some people comment. The Journey into I did it again. Damn it. The Journey into Comics Podbean site has changed. It looks different. Now, I don't have to tell you where you can find Brandon or myself on Instagram or Facebook, because if you go and look to the left of yourself right now, there's a link section. Brandon on Facebook, Brandon on Instagram, Nate on Facebook, Nate on Instagram. Click them. They will link you right to us, and that's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Also, we have an About section. I don't know what's there, but you can check out what we're about.
And we are about tangents.
Tangents. All right, Brando. It was a blast, sir.
As always, man, I can't wait till next time.
All right, everybody take care. Have a great one. This was Journey into Comics. Later.
See you later.